So there's only 4 things that you need to do when it comes to maximizing as many sales you can possibly extract from everybody within your audience during a sales campaign. Now, this is something that I've taught my Ecom Blueprint program participants, my up-level mastermind participants for the last few years, where we help e-commerce brands grow to 10K, 20K, 50K a month and beyond. And this is especially pivotal during obviously sales periods like Black Friday and Christmas and end of financial year and all those sorts of things, but can also be used monthly, even bi-month, when we create offers to our audience. All right. And this is a basically rinse and repeat structure that I've used personally dozens of times and basically helped extract millions of dollars of revenue in e-commerce online. And I'm going to share it with you today because it's really, really important. And I want you to understand that there's nothing more than this. So if you can get your head around this, which is a very simple formula and strategy, then you will never have a problem making sales again, particularly during sales or campaigns periods. So let's dive straight into it. So the first thing is actually the offer. Okay, so depending on what time of year it is, depending on what month it is, what week it is, what day it is, whatever you're actually looking to do in terms of creating a sale or a special offer to your audience may determine what the offer is either called or what you actually do for it. So for example, during Black Friday, we typically brand it a Black Friday offer for a start. And secondly, we have one of the best offers that we can possibly do throughout the year. During Christmas, we can brand it a Christmas offer, and it might look a little bit different to like a big discount. It might just be a Christmas bundle or something Christmas themed. During end of financial year, during Easter, you kind of get the point. So your offer, meaning what you physically offer and how you actually brand that offer, is going to be determined by the time of year and what you're looking to achieve. It's not overcomplicated, but it is the first element to what you need to do. Now, this might sound like bleedingly obvious, but I'm amazed at how many people still don't get this right, or at least give themselves the best opportunity to extract as many sales as they possibly can during the offer sales periods. But typically, you need to put your best foot forward when it comes to offers. Okay, I'll use the Black Friday campaign as an example because it's freshest in my mind at this point in time. But I see people saying, yeah, maybe I should offer 10%, maybe I should offer 15%, maybe I should offer, 20% off. And they feel kind of a bit uncomfortable about even doing that. And my response to them, my advice to them is to say, there is nothing special about that offer. Okay, you need to do and look at the best offer you've ever done and what's actually going to stand out in the marketplace. So what stands out to people, if you've done throughout the year 10%, 15%, 20% offs, then 40 to 50% plus is going to get attention from people, especially people in your audience, right? Rule number 1 is we want to be profitable. So it's obviously going to work within your margins. But rule number 2 is we need to attract attention, right? So what you could basically do is you could have one item that's 40% off or 50% off. And then obviously your messaging becomes up to 40% off. And that actually drives the clicks, drives the attention. And when people get there, there's that item that's 40, 50% off. But then there's other things that are 15, 20% off that you're looking to get rid of or looking to actually move. And that will actually work. But the attention thing is the most important thing. You can't put an ad out or an email out saying, hey, guess what? We've got 15% off. It's not going to get any attention. So you really need to craft your offer from what's going to get attention, right? We need to put our marketing hats on. I know it's not natural for a lot of e-com brand owners because we're creatives. Okay, I get it. I understand it. But this is the rules of the game. We need to get attention. We need to tell people what they want to hear in terms of our audience, best offer of the year, and this is what you can actually get. And of course, without being deceptive by any means, we still need to have a really good offer. And so I'd encourage you to look at your numbers. And what I often say to people is look at what is conservative, meaning like on the low end, look at what is reasonable and likely that you'll actually go with, and then what's really aggressive, what's actually uncomfortable for you to offer. So in that, I guess, line of thinking, you might say, okay, 10% off, really conservative. It might be 30% off and then 50% off. And you're like, oh, that's uncomfortable, but this is what. So you basically look at what the numbers do, your margins are, and what you can afford to do. Another way you can think about this is your offer is your cost per acquisition. Okay, so if you're running ads, you'll see a cost per purchase, cost per acquisition is what we call that. And you'll know what that number roughly is, or you should know it pretty accurately to be fair. And so you can factor that into your sales or offer periods. So a lot of sales during these periods are going to come from your email database, for example, or your organic socials. So you're not actually paying in physical dollars to acquire these customers, but your offer will do that heavy lifting. So really important that your offer is refined and attractive. Most important thing is that it's attractive. Okay. Of course, as I said before, it needs to be, profitable and affordable, but it needs to be attractive enough that people are going to pay attention and they're going to get clicks. You're going to get clicks obviously to your website and traffic to your website. Okay. So number 1 is offer. Number 2 is the time frame. So again, depending on the period of time, depending on the actual offer that you're creating, you want to run that for a given period of time. Again, I'll use Black Friday as an example. It is the day, it's the Friday, right? It's the Cyber weekend and then it's the Monday. That's the typical Black Friday, Cyber Monday period of time. That's cool. That's your definition. However, if you decide to go a few days early or do VIPs, then that is your time frame that you commit to. Christmas is going to be a finite period of time because it's probably all of December up until say the 12th or 13th, which is last shipping. And then you got express shipping, etc. End of financial year, same thing. It's like, sure, it's one day, but you might go the week. So my point here is you need to define and commit to a time frame. Rarely there's a wrong answer when it comes to time frame. The only wrong answer is that you're not sure or you overcommit or undercommit, right? But point is to actually define it and commit to it. So what you can do is obviously after you come up with the offer is say, okay, what's reasonable period of time to run through this? Now, two things when it comes to the time frame: urgency and scarcity. Okay, urgency with not running too long, scarcity with limited numbers or quantity or volumes. Okay, so they're really important factors that will contribute to sales, because if you run something too long, there is no urgency, there's likely no scarcity. Okay, so what we recommend in sales periods, a good sweet spot is kind of 5 to 7 days. That allows enough time to build momentum through communication, going really hard on frequency and communication, but it's not too long that people say they can get it later, because the last thing you want is someone to see something on the 1st of September and then it says, oh, sale ending 30th September, and they're like, well, that's like a month away. Like, why would I do it? Why would I take action now? And I can promise you, most of those people, if they even had intention of purchasing, would forget that it was ending at the end of the month anyway. So that 5 to 7 day window is really important. You can obviously manipulate that, maneuver that, again, given the period of time, but 5 to 7 days we've found to get the best results, to keep people's attention long enough, but also have enough urgency and scarcity with the offer. Okay. And then the third thing is our platforms. So our marketing platforms. So we've got the offer, got the time frame. Now let's plan out how we're actually going to communicate this offer. And there's really 3 main components to this. 1 is our email database, 2 is our organic socials, and 3 is our paid ads. So you need to create plans for each one of those. You need to understand along your time frame when you're going to be sending emails and doing posts and when you schedule the ads, right, what they're going to look like. And then obviously plan to execute accordingly. So with the planning coming from the top down, we are setting ourselves up for success by clarifying everything that we need to do. Everything that we need to do. The reason people don't execute properly is because they feel overwhelmed and they're not sure of what to do. They haven't planned properly for it. So this is taking it down step to the micro of what we actually need to do. So if we know our offer, we know our time frame, then the actual platforms, the marketing platforms, become really easy to define. It's like, okay, cool. Now I've got to send an email 2 days before, 3 days before. I want to start teasing 4 days before, right? And then during that period of time, we're going really hard and heavy on our emails, our socials, and our ads are running on a high velocity to increase frequency so that no one in our ecosystem doesn't know about what we're doing. That's kind of the real magic, is you want to get to the point where no one hasn't been hit multiple times on multiple channels by the offer that you're running. That's how we maximize it, because I can promise you that it happens every single time. You'll get purchases in the days after your offers, right? And people may or may not say, hey, I missed the offer. Sorry, can I have the offer? Sometimes that happens, but they will still buy because of the momentum you'd built up through your communication. Then again, they just sort of missed it. They're like, oh, dang, I missed it. I was supposed to purchase, but I'll purchase anyway. That happens all the time. So that's kind of the really important thing, is that you can't over market. People are paranoid about sending 1 email, 2 emails. It's like, send 3 emails a day for like 5 days in a row. That's not even enough, probably. That's the level we need to be at. That's the level that 7 and 8 figure businesses are at. And so don't worry about poor little old me over here. No one wants to hear what I say. You got to have the attitude of, no one knows who I am or what I'm doing, and everyone wants to know who I am and what we're doing. And with those 2 things in line, you will be fine, right? You need to go really assertive, really aggressive, and go for volume and frequency, right? So that's the third thing with our platforms. Now, the 4th thing, which is basically rolling on from that, is our assets. Okay, so our platforms are our marketing and our proactive activities that we're doing, and our assets are our fixed assets. So think about websites, socials, email flows, right? That's basically it in a nutshell. There's a few other things that you could basically do, but they are our fixed assets. So during these sales periods of time, we need to have congruency, right? That's what our assets will do from our marketing. So if we have an ad or an email that says, hey, end of financial year sale, and then they click on it and they go to the website and it just looks like your plain old website, there's confusion. There's no congruency there. So you need to have an updated banner, you need an updated pop-up, and with the pop-up, you need to have an updated email flow, for example. Different abandoned cart flow, where it says, hey, don't miss our end of financial year sale. Okay, you got to get in before this date or whatever it might be. But your assets need to be considered so that there's congruency. Okay, think about this in a physical store standpoint. If you see a print magazine, I don't know who reads those anymore, but if you did, and it said end of financial year sale at the shopping center, you go to the shopping center and there's nothing demonstrates anything about it in a financial year sale. There's no posters, there's no sale signs, there's no anything, no one's talking about it, you can't find anything. You'll be very confused. It's the same with the online world. From the ad or the email to the website, and there's no congruency, there's going to be confusion, you're going to lose people. And so your assets need to be considered. They just get switched on and switched off accordingly, and you're good. Like, it all makes sense that you're running an offer. And then of course, the day that it finishes, you flick it all off as if nothing had ever happened. Update your socials, you delete those posts because it's not relevant anymore. Again, it's like being at the retail store, you see end of financial year and we're in September. If you're in Australia, this is, and that's not obviously relevant, okay? So you need to be really aware of what your assets are showing and what your marketing is pushing. So that's all I wanted to talk through. This is a rinse and repeat evergreen strategy that is really important to maximizing our results and sales during offer and sales periods. When people say my sales campaign bombed, when people say, I shouldn't bother because, there's too much going on, that's hogwash. It's because you don't know what to do. You've been overwhelmed right from the very beginning. And so you didn't bother actually putting the effort in. But here I am telling you exactly how you should do it, exactly how 7 and 8 figure businesses do it. And there's only 4 things. There's your offer, branded, and actually what it physically is. Number 2 is your timeline. So how long you're actually running it for. What's the build up? What's the post? Obviously what's during in between. Number 3 is the platform. So how you're marketing it, right? Emails, organics, and paid. They're typically the 3 ones. And then number 4 is the assets. How you're being congruent, how you're demonstrating on your assets, particularly your website, through your emails and your socials. And does it all make sense to the person from the outside looking, okay? And that's all you really need to know. Those 4 things. If you have those 4 things planned, you can rinse and repeat any sales campaign moving forward, okay? So look, I hope this was valuable for you. This is stuff we go through with our community, our Ecom Blueprint Up-Level Mastermind program. I hope it was valuable for you. If it was, I'd love a like, I'd love to subscribe. Thank you for watching till the end. If you want to know more about what we do and how we help other brands, you can obviously click on the link below, check it out. But other than that, appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.